Hello and welcome back to the Inverted Castle, a Metroidvania enthusiast podcast. I just got back from Party City with a plastic tiara and matching dress, making me princess of the podcast, Eric Fox. And joining me as always is a man who refuses to remove his Burger King birthday crown, no matter the circumstance, His Royal Majesty Tom Blight.
You'll never take it from my brow.
Exactly. We need to retain our sense of decorum, which is why we've come here in our quasi-royal raiment, our pseudo-regalia, if you will.
Oh ho 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 ho.
I know, it's almost like I planned this. A game that was released in July of 2023. It started life as a Game Jam entry in the Metroidvania Month 19 Game Jam on itch.io before getting fleshed out a little bit for a full Steam release. Developed by Rittzler, it features a deep three-dimensional movement system and platforming, a labyrinthine level layout, as well as a commitment to the aesthetics of the N64-ish era of console games.
Yep, but you know what wasn't fleshed out?
What
the story, because there basically isn't any.
No. There's some vague setup in the store description, as well as some NPC dialogue and a few bits of dialogue at the very end, if you want to kind of explain what that is.
So, I mean, the game very cryptically starts with your character emerging out of a mirror and just being like, well, that worked.
Ostensibly, your name is Sybil, and you are just being taken into this dream castle from elsewhere, and you only know that because you need to read the store page, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, that's not in the text at all, and I did not read the store page. But you know what? I did find her name from the accessibility option.
Oh, we're going right into the sole accessibility option?
Yeah, I thought of it, and it's too good. The sole accessibility option of give Sybil pants.
Not only is it a tick box to enable pants, but it doesn't even give you the pants right away. You then have to go to the costume tab and then enable it that way. You need to doubly opt in.
Oh, that explains why the pants never appeared when I opted it in.
There's some discussion pages on the community hub about like, hey, where are the pants though? I'm of two minds about this inclusion. I don't know about you.
I mean, I think it's a hilarious thing to be your only accessibility option.
That's the thing, is that like, I'm all for, like accessibility should be treated like as an important thing. Like people with different like motor capabilities, different like levels of competence at games in general, just like tweaks here and there are always just like a value add. But man, is it a funny joke to be basically just like enable the Christian Minecraft server version of the game so you can show your grandma without having to explain what a furry is.
Yeah.
In case you have not seen screenshots of this game, Sybil's a 10 out of 10 smoke show on DeviantArt. Thighs that are distracting, so the pants are a must if you want to do anything other than save screenshots.
Eric, there's only like 5 polygons.
4 more than I need.
Yeah, I guess distracting from what meager story there is.
It is a distraction.
Yeah, Sybil emerges from that mirror. That's pretty much all you get at first. Like, there's NPCs that say some cryptic things that sound vaguely story related, but then like never actually really relate to anything.
It's mostly just bemoaning their current situation of being in a dungeon, or princess is weird, or this is the theater, get out.
Yeah.
There's some books in the library that are just very basic, like it's a book about a princess in a castle, or it's a book about a restaurant that's not doing well.
Honestly, there was so little there that I was trying to glean meaning from the library books. I was like, what does it mean?
Yeah, me too. It's just like a vague allusion to other stories, other games, but it was vague enough that I don't think it was explicit references other than like, it's a book about plays, all the world's a stage, which is just, I'm pretty sure a Shakespeare quote.
Yeah, and like, there's a lot of NPCs that just say weird random things. Like the guy who says he's going to kill again.
Yeah, this is all very like in all of its aesthetics, very much a dream zone. If even if you didn't read the store page, it's pretty clear, like just from the ambience, the music, and I don't know, maybe because I was already primed, but I really just got the sense of like things being like abstract in that way, which also comes from its very minimalist aesthetic design of low polygons, low resolution in the textures, very sparsely decorated rooms, and not a lot of representational geometry. It's here and there, but mostly you're dealing with floating cubes and walls.
It's very Mario 64 in that way.
I mean, I think it's even more abstract than Mario 64. Like, at least there you can get, like, oh, this is a mansion, there's a hill, trees, and grass.
That's true.
Although it did also just have floating platforms in a lot of stages
Yeah.
that sometimes had grass on them, but I get what you're saying.
Very little feels like it should actually be there.
Focuses less on creating a cogent and coherent area so much as providing fun level geometry to just traverse with your rucksack of various abilities.
Yeah.
And also because this was essentially like already started as a game jam game, and like they didn't completely from the ground up rebuild it so much as just tack on a bunch of things to make it a bit more of a chunky, bit more value for the admittedly low cost of, I think it's like $7.50 Canadian. So, you know, whatever that is in real money.
You have to say all of the prices in Norwegian kroner. I think that's the rules.
Okay, going forward, you can do the calculations and get back to me, please.
No, it's a thing that Loading Ready Run does on Checkpoint. I have no idea why they started doing that, but
we can't just steal someone else's bit.
Yeah.
Even more than I probably already do, just subconsciously.
Yeah, so like the only consistent thing going on in the story is references to this princess.
Yes.
It's like, oh, the princess liked this place. I don't know. The essence of the princess is trapped in this tower.
And your main goal is to get to the tower and get the 5 big keys that unlock the princess's room, essentially, who functions as your final boss. Quick combat encounter with her, and then you get your ending, which, Tom, seeing as you've engaged with it more recently, do you recall what that is?
It's just like she's waking up and she's like, oh, I guess I have to wake up at some point.
I have to go back to the real world.
But I'll try to remember you.
I think there's something about getting into photography.
Yeah.
I'm just going to assume maybe something personal to the creator or some reference I don't get.
I don't know.
Again, like this isn't what it's there for, and like after those bits of dialogue, after the pure white, it basically just immediately transitions to the title screen again. No credits because there's, I think, just the one developer. It's just okay, you're back, and if you reload your save, you're right outside the princess's room to, I don't know, go for 100% if you want, or just fly around the levels, because movement's still fun.
Yeah, I had to look up to see if there was a true ending that made more sense. There is not. That's it.
Nope, 100% gets you nothing.
I think the photography references, I guess, to me, that meant, hey, this is a, like, contemporary young adult.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than, I don't know, like, someone that would make sense in a castle.
Yeah, everything in the castle is very medieval era style timeline, so.
That said, technically, people could be into photography hundreds of years ago at this point.
Oh, you mean daguerreotypes?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That's my new headcanon, is that just way into daguerreotypes and still lives in a castle. Everything else is definitely canon, including the little goat men.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's all it for the story, basically. Again, just kind of getting that out of the way when we get into the real meat and potatoes.
That's also pretty much it for the combat. Like, there is a regular enemy that is presented as a boss within the first, like, 15 minutes kind of thing. And then occasionally they'll trap you in a room and make you fight the enemies and then free you. But combat is not really a focus in this game.
No, you have a standard 3-hit combo with your sword, which you hold by one of the like side bits of the hilt to have like a cool like a little side grip there.
Yeah, kind of like a tonfa.
And yeah, you got your standard 3-hit combo, and you eventually get a charged attack. I think that's it. Theoretically, your slide can act as a dodge, but there's no iframes. It's just, be quick. But for the most part, you hit enemies. Enemies build up magic. Spend magic to heal. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that first boss encounter, in quotes, also kind of puts in stark relief the lack of focus on it, because I don't know about you, but I found that the hitboxes of the enemy just would always whiff if I was close to him. Like I wouldn't try to dodge away because I get hit every time, even though it seemed like way outside the active frames of his weapon. But if I'm close up, I assume that, oh yeah, no, just whatever hurt boxes extends out from him and just would whiff.
Yeah, I felt like the hurt boxes were a little off. I don't know if it's just that it, in comparison to an enemy, I felt like I didn't actually know where the character was, which is funny because in comparison to the terrain, that's essential to the game.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I felt like I was running into enemies when I thought I wasn't close to them yet.
You do have a pretty long arc of your own attack, but yeah, I think I also kind of ran into them myself. I'm trying to remember, you very rarely actually have to fight anything in your way, and at a certain point enemies also just become part of the platforming. You get an ability where when you hit an enemy or any object midair, you get like a double jump essentially.
Yeah.
To continue chaining. But yeah, combat is loose in a way that thankfully you don't have to do much, but when you are forced into it, it's kind of just a thing to get through and keep attacking to get the healing up. That old chestnut is still good here.
There's a thing that gets kind of underused in that enemies can knock your sword away.
Right.
And then you can't attack, obviously, because you don't have your sword, but you also can't heal without the sword.
Yeah. If you get like a solid hit, or after a couple of hits, you'll get knocked down and your sword goes flying somewhere else. Generally speaking, you could always just rush back to it during your the invincibility flashing from getting hit. So,
but the other thing is you can throw your sword yourself. I kept expecting that to be doing something at some point.
I don't think it does anything.
It maybe helps you with dark rooms, maybe,
but I don't know. You don't need to explore dark rooms until you get the light up everything ability, as far as I'm aware.
Well, I mean, like to throw your light to a distant platform.
I guess I never found a location that would be useful.
I don't know. I tried it in a couple places and I don't think it really helped. But segueing into the traversal abilities, which is really where this game shines.
Yeah.
Right?
You get a lot of stuff in this.
Yeah. We start out with basically nothing, and I don't know, the platforming in the beginning was a little weird.
There's one particular point where I'm pretty sure you have to jump on like these tiny cages.
Yeah.
To get up, and they're small enough that I kept falling off as I'm trying to like go up, and it felt like I'm sequence breaking, but for the life of me I couldn't find another way forward. It's right outside the locked door.
Yeah, I had the same problem.
Technically at that point you can do a semi-hidden speed tech trick that speedrunners obviously use, but is part of the game, where like Mario 64 you have a side flip. When you try and like 180, you start to skid, and during that you can then do a larger jump. It's very small, but if you do like a little flick, you can do that side hop forwards, and it also scales on your speed and momentum. So if you slide, cancel that into skidding, you can then jump so much higher, and then just, instead of platforming up those cages, just go right to where the higher up ledge is directly.
Not sure I even ever noticed that particular jumping technique.
Yeah, if I hadn't seen it like before, like I'd seen people playing this game before I suggested us do it, I saw that they were experimenting with it, and yeah, without knowing that you need to actually like dash into it, there's basically no point in the game where it's useful.
Hmm.
But, you can do a lot of sequence breaking once you do like the perfect ultra hop. But anyway, I kind of also just jumped forward a bit and said, yeah, there's the slide, which gets under places and also speeds you up. You eventually get an extension of that where you can jump out of a slide without doing any fancy stuff to long jump.
Yeah.
One of the main things is the sun greaves, which allows you to wall kick 3 times.
Yeah, the wall kicks was a little awkward, I found.
They were awkward in a way I really liked, because you can kind of do weird things like when you wall kick in the air, it shunts your momentum in that direction. So you can, if you get the exact right timing, climb the same wall a little bit or go back and try and like ledge grab.
Yeah, I don't know. I always think it felt like I was trying to use them to reach something and then managing to kick off of the edge that I really wanted to be grabbing.
Oh yeah, that happened to me a lot, as well as I think I kept trying to sequence break a little bit. Like there are places where you're not supposed to use them, but you can get just close enough that you think it's possible to jump between walls that you're really supposed to use a later ability, the wall run ring or cling ring instead. But no, just use the cling ring later. It's fine. Don't do what we both did, which is forget about the tower you can climb.
Look, I didn't forget about the tower. I just apparently am really bad at finding paths. And it was like, this obviously broken pillar must be the way I have to start this, and not the one covered in blue vines that have been indicating, hey, go here the entire time.
Yeah, I just completely forgot that was a place I should come back to. And I really think it's not the game's fault, because it tells you explicitly, oh, you need the 3 sun items in order to scale this. And there are, in fact, 3 items that have like solar or sun in their name. I just needed to remember that, and I didn't. So mea culpa.
Finishing out the list, there's the combination ground pound high jump, which both breaks things below you and lets you jump a little higher.
It also allows you to do like a little backflip in the air if you cancel the ground pound.
Yes.
I found it impossible to use, but if you change your direction really quickly, you can theoretically gain just that little bit extra height with it in certain places. But again, never required.
I found it impossible to use intentionally and very possible to use accidentally all the time.
And the timing for getting the like bonus hop is actually very generous. It's just I would always be a little too quick on the trigger there.
Yeah, it's press the trigger, and then if you press jump before you hit the ground, then you will do the back hop.
And what's especially insidious is that the button you press to do the ground pound is also your slide into like long jump, which is the fastest way to get around. So by getting the order wrong and by jumping and trying to slide, I would ground pound instead of sliding and jumping to go forward.
Somehow I never really had that problem.
Yeah, I think both halves of my brain were working against each other. I don't know. Like, it's not like it happened all the time. It's just, a little funny thing I noticed.
That's fair. So there's the light, which is boring. It's a light. It lights up the dark spot. It doesn't even light up the dark spot enough for me.
I found it fine.
I don't know. I was playing on a very sunny day with a lot of glare, and I was just like, this went from impossible to still pretty damn difficult to see.
Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, like I don't know. I was already just kind of going through, just navigating along the wall anyway. So, like a real labyrinth. Keep one hand on one side, and you'll never get lost or something. Although,
yeah,
this game has enough verticality that really doesn't work. But
we talked about the bouncing off of enemies or things already.
Yep.
And then the wall run cling ring.
Yeah, and then I think there's just like a projectile you get from your charge attack at some point, which is really just used a couple of times to activate a switch from far away.
Oh, and there is actually the charged attack itself.
Right, which gets used, I don't know, 3-4 times total to break a special wall.
Yep, it's pretty minor.
Pretty minor, but also given the scale of the game as it is, like, I think it took me at least like 5 hours to beat it.
Yeah, it took me about 6.
Even getting lost and forgetting about the tower that one time.
Yeah, I got very lost at some point.
Yeah, like that's because the castle is so sparse and also like just arranged, like the 3-dimensional layouts kind of make it very easy to kind of lose track and like making it difficult to keep a mental map of the space because there's no in-game map.
So about the in-game map,
Oh,
because I read the messages on Steam from the developer after finishing the game.
oh no.
And I don't know if this message was actually out while you were playing it, but if you switch to the beta, which they tell you the password to the beta in the developer message, there is a map. I have not actually tried it out.
Huh. Weird that's only in the beta, or yeah, I guess like there that might be a later update to the game, which if it is, kudos to them. But I don't know, it wasn't so big a deal that it stymied my progress really. I just need to remember the one big tower. Running around without knowing where you're going does get old a little bit.
Yeah.
I do feel like somewhat ameliorated by the fact that I found that getting around was still fun, but doing the same lines over and over and over again, I'm not speedrunning this game, so
it only really bothered me in the underlayer.
Right, where everything's dark.
Yeah, where everything's dark, it really hurts the distinctiveness of rooms.
I've actually had more trouble in the main castle where every different hallway would sometimes lead back to the same room, but from a different zone. And I found that one was the least distinct.
That's fair.
Just geographically, for lack of a better word. But I can see what you mean. But what I found in the underbelly, the underground area, was that it was more like a lot of just straight paths for a while with really only one or two hub areas.
I mean, in particular, its major key was just like in a random room that you had to remember existed.
Yeah, I went there a couple of times. First because I didn't have the cling ring, and then again because I didn't have the projectile. I kept trying to our ability to throw our weapon. I tried to make a really long distance throw, and it just nowhere close. But couldn't help but feel like maybe I'm missing something and I can do it, like some secret throw tech, because it hasn't been relevant yet. And well, I guess it never really is.
Yeah, I had forgotten that a room existed from the time that I got the bounce to the very end of the game. It was the last key I got.
Yeah. I think it's one of the last keys you're supposed to get in normal progression anyway. But in addition to all that, there is one non-ability, but every so often there will be these bubbles, which is more of a terrain thing you can interact with, where when you jump midair, you can dash really far forward through the air. It goes away on landing, but otherwise you can wall run, climb up poles, try and keep it going a little bit. Every time it was used, I thought it fit really nicely into the sequencing of platforming challenges, like that wall run, jump, bounce off an enemy, kick, all that good stuff. It feels good to get right and feels and flows naturally.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting in that it takes, the things that it takes away are being able to do the wall kicks.
Yeah.
I don't know. In the situations where you're using it, you're not going to miss the wall kicks.
They're situated in this is a part of a platforming puzzle, essentially. Do the things that the level expects you to do, and it's going to be cool. The cling ring also allows for essentially infinite height if you find a corner, because you can just keep re-grabbing the wall without issue. The wall kicks, you're limited to 3 or 4 if you get an optional upgrade, which you talk about.
Oh yeah, the optional upgrades. That must be the one that I left undone because I couldn't figure out where the last silver key was.
Yeah, it is hidden in the underbelly. I'm pretty sure is the one you missed.
Yeah. Underbelly.
That thing is also in the underbelly, I believe.
Oh, okay, maybe I had more than one missing, because I knew of a key door in the theater that I didn't have a key for.
It's been a while since I actually played. Maybe I just forgot exactly.
Yeah, so the optional upgrades, they're weirdly, a lot of them are kind of combat related, right? There's the one that lets you walk a little while healing. There's one that lets you store more energy. I guess that's not strictly combat related.
The store more energy and the obviously getting more life pips theoretically are good for combat, but also just, hey, if you're failing a jump and falling into a damage pit, good for that too. Good for getting your magic back to get more tries.
Yeah, there's some costumes.
I think there's really just the one called the Professional. And the other two are just whether or not you want to see the greaves and or cling ring on Sybil.
Yeah.
Or the pants, big pants. Don't forget to enable pants. Pants are optional, but are they? Beyond that, there is... was that everything?
That's all I can think of.
There's one that gets you another magic pip, but whatever.
Yeah, we talked about that one.
There's one that also gets you, like, you charge up power faster from hitting things.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought you were talking about, but regardless.
No, I was talking about the, like, having another pip's worth of storage.
And it's only one, and it makes, like, the UI look kind of weird, where you have, like, your 3 main bars, and there's just, like, this weird rectangle off to the side.
Yeah, this isn't Hollow Knight. I mean, it had the little balls off to the side, but at least they felt like they made sense.
I really don't think we can compare this to Hollow Knight, really. I think that's a little unfair.
That's fair.
I love when you reply, that's fair to that's unfair. I don't know what to do with this.
It's fair that you think it's unfair.
Sure. Anyway, but yeah, those are the main rewards for like going out of your way and finding like the little extra hidden rooms and whatnot.
I was way better at finding those optionals than I was at finding what I'm actually supposed to do, which was not a great state to be in, I guess. But
yeah, it's fine as long as you get something out of it. But I do feel like, especially getting the thing that's like, oh, you can move while healing. I don't think that was just like useful enough.
Yeah, it was like, oh, this will be great for when I have that boss encounter. Yeah, tumbleweeds.
You have one boss encounter and it's like the movement doesn't really get you out of danger. It's really just, just stand there and take it. And as long as you ring the bell enough, because you can actually, like, when you are healing, if you just hold the button, you charge basically like all of your health. The longer you hold it, the more you heal, which was cool. I think you can also get screwed over by that by getting hit too hard that you lose your sword during it, and you might lose magic, but I don't know, it never happened to me.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't come up very often.
Regardless, I do feel like the actual controls of this game are strong enough on their own to warrant playing it.
Yeah.
Like there's just a lot of actual traversable material. Like it's 5 hours, but it's like 5 hours of non-stop basically platforming, and navigation, climbing, all that good stuff. I had a great time.
I don't know. I had a pretty good time with it. Some of the places where I felt like it was being unfair, it turned out that I was sequence breaking.
Yeah, that I had that too, where I should have had the cling ring. I definitely got the bounce off enemies things after I should have. And I definitely got myself into trouble and almost couldn't get back out, but it ended up fine.
In particular, getting that major key in the keep has a bit of a gauntlet, and it was like, man, this is a long gauntlet to make me go through, and hard to make me go through without giving me a way to like exit back out to a save point. And then I got the cling ring.
And then it all made sense.
And I was like, oh, this was supposed to be pretty easy. And not like, hey, do this hard challenge, and then this other hard challenge, and then this other hard challenge. Just trying to replace the cling ring with the wall kicks. I think it was also right after I got the wall kicks that I was trying to do this, where it was like, man, these wall kicks are really hard to use. This is challenging. And then getting to the next stage of it and being like, oh man, you don't even give me the, like, being able to go back to the save. I have to do even more of this. Turns out, no. All these were supposed to be easy challenges with the cling ring.
Yeah. Like I can see if like more clear signposting of what you need for a challenge, but I don't know. As long as you can get back, it's really just an annoying sense of there's a lot of challenges in a row, and while you can fuddle your way past some, having to backtrack kind of sucks.
There was a couple of places where it's like you can get halfway up it, and then you'll just encounter something that you can't figure out. And it's like, so wait, am I just not doing the right things? Like, I don't understand all of my capabilities properly? Or am I actually stuck and need a new ability?
Yeah, is it it's kind of janky like the earlier, like, cage climbing? Or is there just something else in the world I just don't know I can get right now? So,
yeah,
I get it. But overall, I think the experience is quite, actually, like, well polished for just the base mechanics, quite good. I don't recall any like glitches on my playthrough, at least.
I don't think I noticed anything that was an actual glitch. It took me a while to wrap my head around the wall kicks. I kept wanting to wall kick at the very last moment, which is not how you're supposed to be using them.
Yeah, no, because you want to wall kick early so that it ends before you actually get the ricochet, so you can climb on the ledge. Just a tip for anyone who checks out the game and sees if it's up their alley, because even though we've mostly spoiled basically the whole game, really it's the playing that is beyond, like, you can't just watch it. You really should put your hands on it, and it's cheap to boot. But regardless of anything else, how does it stack up, like taking out of the context of cheap game, new, indie, whatever? What is its base value when measured against our stack rank?
Oh geez.
Yeah.
This is I don't know, putting like a game that so narrowly does one thing,
but really well.
Yeah, it's a challenge to figure out where to put that.
Yeah, like I can go first if you still need some time to ruminate.
If you want to go ahead.
I've had some time to chew on it, and I think I'm looking at Rusted Moss, a game which I feel like had a lot more substance to it, but still like sits just above Aquaria, which is just too janky to play. So like it's around that area of where Pseudoregalia is very good at what it does. Its narrow focus kind of still left me a little, I wanted more, but not like an extension of the game, just a more fleshed out environment, really. It's very good to play, but I do think Rusted Moss still kind of edges it out for its novelty and more things to chew on to keep. Man, between sandwiches and just chewing, apparently I'm just hungry, so.
Hungry across multiple weeks.
Yeah, so Pseudoregalia is now my number 18 above Aquaria and under Rusted Moss.
I don't know. This is very confusing, trying to put it somewhere. Because, like, I don't know. I liked the act of playing it, but also felt like it was missing a lot of the things that I normally like. I mean, for me, Rusted Moss is much higher. I definitely liked Rusted Moss better. I don't know. It feels like a weird thing to put up in front of anything here.
Even Brain Breaker? Oh, man.
I mean, no, but I don't know. It's like, it's weirdly low and weirdly high at the same time. I don't know. I think I'm going to go for after Deedlit and Wonderland, which puts it at the new number 13. But this is so arbitrary. I could have also put it at the new number 18, just above Legacy of the Wizard, I think.
There's like a chunk where like you can make the argument and be satisfied, but now that you're on the spot, like ask you again in a half an hour.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. Much higher than me.
One of the weird things that I encountered was I felt like I hit almost every area of the game within the first, like, 30 minutes or so.
Okay.
I think I didn't reach the underbelly until later, but I was like, oh god, there's so many areas that it is giving me access to. Please just give me a sign that one of them is where I'm supposed to be going.
It helps that you're going to find the library really early, and that's just sequestered away from everything else. It doesn't lead to any other zone, which is nice. But then, yeah, it opens up very widely, and because you can't really, without the beta branch, mapping this thing is tough, and that's kind of why I rank it a little bit lower, just from the maze aspect of it, making it more frictive than I'd prefer.
I don't know, I maybe should have just pursued the library immediately when I unlocked it, which was immediately without having gotten anything past the slide.
Yeah, right out of the tutorial-ish area, you can go right to it, but obviously you don't know where you need to go, and I think I just got lucky and picked the right paths.
Oh, I mean, I was just like, which is the most straightforward seeming path? The one where it puts a door right in front of me with no puzzles in between. I'm just gonna go through that one. And then that one had a door to another place. It's like, no.
Well, don't worry, you've escaped the labyrinth hell for now and are about to plunge us into another one. Hey Tom, what are we playing next month?
Next month, we're going to play Gato Roboto.
Oh, I've heard of this one. Fairly recent, last couple of years.
I mean, it's 2019, I believe. Recency is relative.
Fair enough. Okay, but no, I heard this was a fun, short little game.
Should be a good time.
I like robots, but speaking of bots, please don't become one and fill up our socials. If you pledge your allegiance and swear not to, you can find them at gmail.com, the Inverted Castle podcast at gmail.com. On Twitter/X at Inverted Castle P. Never forget the P. Elsewhere, you could basically just search for Inverted Castle Podcast on like Mastodon or what have you.
Yep.
Google it. Pretty sure you'll find it. No problem. If you want to leave us a review, it has to be an iambic pentameter. Do it wherever you find good podcasts and ours. But beyond that, I think that's it for us. I've been Eric Fox.
I've been Thomas Blake.
And remember, kids, shirts and shoes may be required for service, but pants are optional.